neuroplasticity is basically just the neuroscience term for can you learn something? And there's no point in your life when your brain has lost the ability to learn something, unless you've had some type of neurological injury or disease process. Yeah, those things will affect learning. But just a typical healthy person who's getting older, the brain maintains the ability to learn new things. And neuroscientifically, how the brain does it is it's making new connections between parts of the white matter and changing how it's interacting with cells in the gray matter. And those new connections are what we call new pathways. New pathways are the physical evidence of the brain building new skills, building new abilities.
So hold on a second. You're actually telling me that you can see through fMRI, through whatever, the new pathways of we're actually, when people are saying you're rewiring the brain,
Yeah,
you're literally making new pathways and rewiring the brain.
exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's a special type of imaging. It's not fMRI. fMRI just measures where the blood's at in the brain, and that tells us if there's a lot of blood on the left side, that's like the brain there is asking for fuel, and the blood has to bring the fuel, which is oxygen. So you can find the blood with oxygen versus this side, there's blood but not much oxygen. So then this side's doing more work. So fMRI just looks about where's the activity at on the outside. DTI, or diffusion tensor imaging, it's an amazing technology. And for those who are math geeks, they know that tensor math is a type of mathematics. It measures flows across planes, like a horizontal plane or a vertical plane. Well, with DTI, you can use the MRI machine and some different software to measure which way are water molecules moving on the fibers, which are the white matter phone lines per se. I can't say that to younger kids because like, what's phone lines? Like, well, long ago, phones were connected by wires. But anyway, they can measure those white matter fibers as water moves across the fibers. Well, in one little itty bitty millimeter cubed of brain tissue, that technology can measure water moving in 56 different directions. And that's how we get these really fascinating colorized pictures of, they change the color based on the angle of the fibers. And some fibers are going from the frontal lobe, reasoning part of the brain, back to the vision part of the brain. Some fibers are going from the frontal lobes over to the left side of the auditory cortex, or they're going back here to part of the visual perceptual system, or they're going over here to the motor strip, or there's parts of the parietal lobe that's connected to the temporal lobe. So you have all these fiber pathways. And yes, diffusion tensor imaging can measure that. And there have already been studies done that look at before intervention and after intervention, did the fiber pathways change? And there's one big fiber pathway that runs along the temporal lobe over here that's a real big language pathway called the arcuate fasciculus. And they've measured the arcuate fasciculus and shown it's changed in size after intervention. So we think now the brain has built more fiber connections between the motor control of the mouth, the acoustic part here, as the brain has shown improvement on standardized testing for like phonological awareness. So yes, they can measure it. We measure it really, scientifically, but understand too, those scientific methodologies are still very much research-based, and different laboratories use different algorithms. Different laboratories use different, statistical cutoffs about how you decide, is it a fiber pathway or not? So there's still work to actually get this to become to a clinical services level, but it certainly is very, very powerful on a research level that the brain can make new connections.